Welcome, welcome, everybody. This is the Andrew Bartzis Two Feathers Medicine Thursday New Teaching Show. So I'm joined by my brothers on this journey, Maty and Dale Tobin from Two Feathers Medicine, and Andrew Bartzis, who needs no introduction. We all know he is the Galactic Historian. So, there are many crises going on in the world, overlayered. We're experiencing a lot of drama. Things can be overwhelming, destabilizing, like the ground is being pulled away from under our feet. These crises feel like they're being piled together in a polycrisis. It can be in finance with debt crisis and recession. It can be in politics. It can be in geopolitics and the natural environment. There is no single factor and no single cause for these. Andrew, when we're looking at this, what do you think is a good way to kick off?
Well, I want to congratulate you on taking charge and doing the opening of the show. It is like watching children go off to school for the first time, but you are in your graduating class. Laura, congratulations. You are amazing. Both Maty and Dale, you guys are amazing too, to have you on these shows to just expand the awareness. But the polycrisis. It is a term that came from the place we cannot mention while we're on YouTube, that place in Switzerland, hint, hint, wink, wink. It's a term they're trying to coin everywhere to get people addicted to the never-ending set of crises that happen after crisis, with individual moments where you might pause and have a laughter at the government, followed by the next crisis and the next crisis, which allows them to keep the ever-present system of war supplied with people following the propaganda. And the polycrisis is a propaganda support tool and system. And today we're going to explore the polycrisis, which is the place in Europe we can't talk about while on YouTube, the place in the Middle East that we can't talk while we're on YouTube, and the place in the Asian Pacific we can't talk about while we're on YouTube, because that will get our channels looked at in such a way that the polycrisis will be of us a crisis. With that being said, there are a variety of things that are going on in the many news channels that support the propaganda from the globalist agenda. Now, it's a lot to take in. First thing first is you also have to learn to tune out the polycrisis, but understand its themes. With that said, I want to get Dale and I want to get Maty to talk about what the polycrisis means to them.
So for me, the polycrisis, it's about the system trying to push the fear onto us at all times, trying to bring this kind of depression energy. The end is going to come, the end is going to come, the end is near, there's war here, there's war here. So for me, it feels like it was set up on purpose to lower our frequency, to keep us in the adrenal gland mode, to keep us in fear, and to not evolve, basically. And one of my greatest tools is to turn it off. And that's something I've been doing a lot more in the last 3 years. I used to watch news quite a bit just to keep up to date, see what was going on. But the last 3 years, I decided to turn it off and not really look at it. And since I did that, my life changed so much better. So I'd say it's a theme and something which happens over and over again to create this fear, to get people always in the scared mode, in the adrenal gland mode, like I've just said, in the low frequency mode. So that's probably the best way I can describe it.
And so for me, it's a term that I haven't heard really. It's only very recently through you guys that I've heard that term. I've been kind of out of touch, but I have been in the normal working world, mixed amongst the muggles for the first time in a long time. So I'm able to see what's going on with all of this stuff, and I mean, the word speaks for itself, doesn't it? Polycrisis. And I think it's a clever way to add a whole another extra crises onto people who already have a crisis. So the Ukraine war, places like things like that are being used quite a lot at the moment, and there's a lot of people speaking about them. But then there are all these other minor crises, cost of living, so forth, all these other terms and phrases that they use. And so now they've obviously got so many, they're deciding to bring it into one term, which is really insidious. But it's I can see how effective it will be.
It's the crisis of the week. It's the crisis of the week. And then when that crisis of the week overs, you might have 2 crises of the next week. It's like putting out a YouTube channel for YouTube Clips channel. The crisis of the Clips channel is what's going on here. So Laura, you gave your definition in the opening. How do you disconnect from the polycrisis? And then what do you do when you know you got to pay attention to it, like price of gas or anything else that might affect your everyday life?
It does. Some of it does affect my everyday life. No doubt about it, but I will not go into fear. I will not engage. I've learnt enough now to know that I just turn more to my daily practices, my prayer, the usual shamanic practices. I have great trust in my journey and in great mystery and great spirit and the universe that we can co-create, I can co-create with the universe to override that global narrative. I know it's there. I know it's causing a lot of hardship for a lot of people. I know a lot of people are in survival. I do understand that. I can tune into the news now and again. But just like the guys have said, I understand that the government is, like we know, is control of the minds. And it's about a divide and conquer scenario again, setting up competition, all the things that I don't practice and don't believe in. So I will engage sometimes, find out what's going on, not fully engage, I will just listen, see what's happening, and then just focus more on my own personal journey, knowing that the difference I can make in doing my own work and my own journey and my self-mastery.
Wonderful. So I want to set up a situation of understanding here. So since the beginning of January, we've had we'll call it season 1 of the Polycrisis. And we're going to break it down to 4 major crisis events per year. So just like taxes, you've got four quarters in the year, every 3 months. So for the month of January, what was the major crisis that they wanted you to remember? Europe had no fuel, remember? Europe was going to go bankrupt. Europe was going to was going to freeze to death. What was the other crisis that was in January, February, and March?
War with Russia.
And China. China was going to invade Taiwan. And the January 36th date, because I can't name the exact date, okay? All that was vomited onto us over and 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 over again, to the point like FM radio keeps replaying the same song over and over again until you never want to hear it again. They did that. Okay, so the existing Polycrisis timeline will have their first sets of season 1 episodes will finish up with a little bit of a cliffhanger before they start, season 1 part 2, and then season 1 part 3, and season 1 part 4. Now, what was one of the things they didn't really talk about during season 1? Because we still got the rest of this month and part of next month before the next set of episodes begin.
The little illness that spread around the world hasn't been spoken about much.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen them a few times try and talk about it a little bit. But
they've tried to
doesn't have any oomph anymore.
They've hidden the Twitter files as if it doesn't exist. Okay. What else was the other big thing? The train crashed. Yes. They wanted to cover that one up really a lot. What other stuff did they cover up?
What about a bigger globalization of news about the crafts? Which was
yes, the UFOs. They tried to. Well, that was technically public, but they did that on purpose.
Yeah.
Well, what about the poverty around the world?
Oh yeah, covering that up. But that's standard. That's a standard cover up. That's going to cover it up all the time. Think back to mid-February, right around St. Valentine's Day. It's a little over more than 4 weeks ago. Actually, no, less than that, 3 weeks ago. I'm doing this to not just you guys here on the panel, but for everybody also in the audience. This will show you how the Polycrisis timeline affects you. What has stuck through in the keywords. Do 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 do.
So you're saying what was stuck in? So explain that in a different way. Sorry, the last part.
What do you remember that was mid-February last year? That's a keyword to the many forms of the Polycrisis they used during this time.
Last year or this year?
This year. This year,
right.
Was it
Shortage.
what about Putin? Was it all to do with Putin?
Yes, but that's not the big one. That's a much more minor one.
Not shortage.
Nope, minor one. It's so hard that you actually have to probably go back and look at the timeline of what the major news events were.
Oh,
but that's done on purpose. Go ahead.
Earthquake.
Yes, the earthquake.
In Turkey, yeah.
500,000 people died, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. It took, what, a minute for it to trigger in your mind? This is how the Polycrisis timeline equation works when they are trying to get you stuck into the forever news. Because most people pay attention to that big one and go away, but they want something to stick into your mind. And this is the first form of how Polycrisis is a form of mind control. Okay? Let's talk about basic mind control that isn't technology, that's just smart words. Okay? Because the vast majority of mind control that's going on now has no technological support behind it. Even though technology brings it to you, it's not really technologically enhanced. There's no microwaves or this going out into your brain and the stuff. It's just smart words that they know how to imprint upon you.
Well, they even use that in the weather, don't they?
Everywhere that they can.
Yeah.
Okay? Also, we had snowpocalypse and snowmageddon done, too. Okay?
Yeah.
We had major weather going on. Okay? California has snow. Okay, like 600 inches of snow.
Wow.
Right. It snowed in the Bay Area. Doesn't happen that way.
No.
Okay? We didn't remember any of that, though. Why? Why didn't we remember any of that? This is more to the audience out there. We're going to go. I'm going to lead you like a dog with a leash to the next level here. It's just not letting you go out of bounds so you can see how the manipulation of mind control works. What do they want you to remember month to month? What's the top two things they want you to remember month to month?
War.
You must support the war. And if you are against the war, you are a rebellious person who will be persecuted, called a racist, homophobe, sexist, so on and so forth. And what's the second thing they want you to remember?
The global financial meltdown.
It's the economy's perfect.
What about the? I mean,
they want you to believe the economy is perfect.
I was going to say before. What about the oil price? They mean the price of gas and electric. Because when I put on the news, that's all they talk about. That people are just in lack. This real nasty. They can't afford to pay the bills. What's going to happen to this? How are they going to get money? That's what I've seen when I've watched it the last few times.
And they throw them into the commercials as well. So if you listen to like Radio 1 or Radio 4, and they'll have commercials that are just selling products, but it will say, it will slip something in like, we all know we're all struggling right now to pay our bills. However, and then comes the sale.
And I find it interesting in the weather because they've been threatening snow, and we have had snow here. But I heard an interesting expression that the snow would batter the southeast. Well, batter to me is like extreme,
Destroy.
hammering. I've never known snow to hammer. You can have a lot of it, but they use very emotive words.
Yeah, rhetoric.
And also, Andrew, do they do like one thing after another to deliberately put you in overwhelm? So it's like, oh, well, the government will sort us out. Once again, we rely on our government, which takes away our sovereignty.
You hit it nail on the head, Laura. They want a series of crises to maintain the term polycrisis. And if you just remember one of the many parts of the polycrisis, they've got you. Okay? But if you start to remember more than one, 3 or 4, you can put together the pattern in which they're trying to keep you addicted to the main thing. War is good, and if you're against the war, you're a racist, homophobe, etc., etc. And the economy is perfect. And if you don't believe the economy is perfect, you're racist, homophobe, isist, whatever. That to go against those 2 major things that they're trying to put forward. Now, when a weather issue comes up or an earthquake issue comes up, the main news channels cannot not cover it. Okay? So those are things that, no matter what, that's baked into the polycrisis as something very beneficial to the polycrisis, because it allows them to back off on the war talk and the economy talk and just let you be captured by that while they sprinkle in war is good, while they sprinkle in the economy is perfect. You'll do just fine. Obey and sleep and you'll be just fine.
And they always want a villain, don't they? They always want a few people who are the villain. What everyone wants to pin the blame on. Without.
And we need a villain of the month every month. Okay? In January, villain of the month was Elon Musk. Okay? Villain of the month in February. Who was the villain of the month in February? Come on.
Well, it can't still
Russia.
be Putin because he's been
No,
going for a while.
Xiao Jinping. He was invading Taiwan and
See, I don't watch any news at all over the last couple of months. I've been completely out of touch. I really have.
See,
okay.
we need to watch more.
Listen, I put the Periscope up about every 10 days. It used to be every 2 weeks. And when we go, bloop, what's going on? It's the same shit every month. All right. I'm looking for the new shit, or why are they repeating this pattern over and over and over and over again? Because there's a reason. Once you get stuck in the pattern, they can sneak something in on you. It's like winning a game of tic-tac-toe versus a kid. Have any of you, as modern human beings, ever lost a game of tic-tac-toe? No. How old are you when you stopped losing games of tic-tac-toe? Okay? Okay?
Yeah.
But the polycrisis setup is like a game of tic-tac-toe. Once they get 3 in a row, they're going to sneak something in on you. Okay? Now, we are in beginning of March, and generally we're going to break it down to 4 quarters, so we got the month of April to finish out. So Easter will be in April. And so let's look forward. Now we've just talked about what we've seen in the past. What might come for March and April? You don't need to be a psychic to do this. This goes for everyone in the chat to go ahead and write something into the chat room, what you think might come up in the springtime of the polycrisis.
And there's usually, when there's like an equinox or a solstice, there's usually something what kind of blows up a bit more during the time. Is that right?
Yeah, well, there's always something that goes on.
Yeah.
Is it going to be manufactured, or is it going to be natural in which they abuse the shit out of it?
And will they continue to hype things like fuel prices?
Oh, they have to.
Putting the squeeze on.
That's a constant for the rest of the year.
Okay.
They started it in January. That means it's going to constant for the rest of the year. War is good, and fuel is what they want you to believe it in. So look forward. Okay? What crisis did we have this time last year? Anyone remember?
Well, COVID was
it
reaching a
Afghanistan
peak,
again?
was that the year
COVID.
It was.
COVID.
Yeah.
How easily you forget.
Were we in lockdown then a year ago, Andrew?
Yeah.
Yes, we're just coming. Most of the lockdowns were about to end last year. Now, with that being said, that's another way that they get you. You don't remember. All the crises become one crisis, and you can't tell them apart year by year by year. That's done on purpose. They know the way the human mind works. Okay? So having a polycrisis journal, just write them down, and you'll begin to see the greater pattern recognition in which they're trying to enforce into you. Okay? So is COVID trying to make a comeback? Oh no, I said the word on YouTube. Yes, it is. It is. Okay?
Sliding in the DMs.
Sliding in the DMs. Okay.
So will
Big
Viva
Pharma's
make a
not going to give
comeback?
up. Yeah, Big Pharma's not going to give up on that money.
No.
Okay.
I can't say the word, but I think they're on the number 6 now, aren't they?
I
Or
was going to
7th?
say, yeah.
Yes. Okay.
With the big V.
The big
All
V
right.
as
So if it wasn't the big C word this time last year, what was the second crisis that was this time last year?
well. Was it weather extremes?
Just try deeper.
Will Smith slapping someone?
Was that? I think that was later in the year. I think that was,
Was that
in
later in the
July.
year? That
I think
was
later
so
in the year.
good.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had everything. That's the thing. We've had floods, earthquakes, volcanoes.
2022. First 4 months of 2022.
Help us out, chat people.
Was it the Russian oil?
Keep going.
I'm actually cheating.
I know you're cheating. Keep going. Say it out
There
loud.
you are. I can see you cheat.
Toxic fears as Russia strikes oil depot.
Keep going.
Russian missiles have struck an oil depot in, I can't say that word, promoting fears of toxic fumes in early hours of the fourth day of conflict. Huge explosions lit up the sky near the Ukrainian capital as Ukrainian forces continue to repel Russian attempts to gain control of the key territory.
Okay. Move on. What's the other crisis that there was there during that time?
Invasion would not have happened under Trump. Some football talk.
It was Boxgate. The whole Trump documents.
Right.
The whole world was captured by that. But there's one that's even bigger than that that is just slipping everyone's mind.
Even Sari in the chat, the convoy.
Which convoy?
Do you mean the truckers convoy in Canada?
Oh boy. How easily we forget the biggest story of them all. The truckers convoy. You got it.
Well
Thank
done,
you,
Sari.
Sari. You got it. How easily have we forgotten that? How much was humanity turned on by those Canadians out in minus 20-degree weather with bouncy houses resisting the powers?
And then
Okay.
it just disappeared.
And then they did what? They took they disappeared. They took the Canadian money. They did the most draconian measures against them. Okay? Why is that forgotten? Because of the many polycrises that came after that, to erase your memory. Okay? Now that we get an understanding of how this polycrisis works, crisis after crisis makes you minimize all the other crises until they want to re-illuminate the old crisis and bring it back up into you. Therefore, it has root meaning in you, which means they can manipulate your view. Even if you're anti this or pro that, they can manipulate you. Once it has a little droplet of a memory in you, they can manipulate it.
What about the
Okay?
gender?
And if you have no memory of it, and if you have no memory of it all, and you're introduced to it, they still get you.
Is that
Because
like the
they're getting you
gender
for the
neutral
first
stuff?
time.
Because that seems to be now everyone is like kind of battling over what's her, what's him, and it's kind of like left so many people confused. The
But
gender
that was done on
neutrals.
purpose. That was 2022 was all about the gender identity politics, and it was something that challenged the other forms of polycrisis because they did know if they promoted war too much, they would make anti-war people. Therefore, they had to put another crisis forward so you'd forget about how bad the war is really going, or how many billions of dollars they're sending them.
They have distraction for the distraction.
Correct.
And it doesn't matter how silly they make it or what it's about, because you hear it now, the gender politics, it isn't a real thing that most of us encounter all the time.
No.
You know, I'm not saying it's not a real thing, but it's not something that's in our face like we'd be shown in the media. But yet, everybody's talking about it. As soon as somebody brings it up, everybody has an opinion on it. So it's made its way into them, even if they don't experience it day to day to day to day. There's definitely a control in the narrative, and everybody seems to have their opinion of everything that's being offered as a crisis.
And if you don't offer your opinion, what do? They attack you. They attack you for not having an opinion because they want to force you to be a part of the political debate that's omnipresent to everyone. Okay, we could be doing a full-on spiritual prayer show, and we'll still get people who demand that I answer a politics question. Okay, because they can't help it; they're that imprinted on.
It's the worst thing to talk about at like family gatherings. When some people talk about politics, I just watch them all. Just start arguing, like, oh shit, here we go.
My dad used to do it. He used to bring up politics everywhere we went, and you could see everybody else's eyes like, oh no, here we go. But there'd always be somebody else who would like, yeah, I'll have some of that. All the women would just move away.
So divide and conquer is alive and well.
Mm-hmm. So now you understand the formula of how the polycrisis works. I'm going to touch back again. Let's look. We have the rest of March and April for us to go into our little genius pattern recognition minds and tap into your psychic, but you don't need to be psychic to do this either. And we're going to take a thing, and in the next 2 months, we're going to see who was right and who was wrong. So each of you get 2 guesses, and we're going to write these down. Okay, I'll start. There's going to be an issue with the economics that are going to have a major a major fail in the stock market, but it'll come back up within 3 weeks. We'll drop about 3,500 points and regain the 3,500 points in 3 weeks. So that's a 6-week part of a polycrisis that will operate between spring break times, so mid-March to mid-April. And then the next one is we're going to have a major crisis with the Pope. Crisis meaning one of them's going to die, or something major will happen in the church. That's my 2.
Okay, I reckon we're going to have big supply issues. Ooh, hold on. My camera's supply of cameras.
So camera supply.
Hold on. Okay.
Well, while Laura's fixing her camera.
Yeah, move on a moment while I adjust myself.
Go ahead, Dale. You do yours.
I'm going to go for oil shortage, and I'm going to go for I don't know, a war, just that war frequency again, which they'll try and just put a narrative into it. That's my prediction.
Okay, Dale? I'm sorry, Maty?
So I'm just going to say, because what came onto my mind as soon as you said it was some form of weather issue or environmental issue, something that hasn't been beaten in a while.
Okay.
And then all the other stuff I agree with. I think they're just going to keep pushing the war narrative, keep pushing all those other narratives. Yeah, there's something different's got to happen, though.
So some type of natural disaster is one. Okay. And what else?
Yeah, weather.
Oh, natural
Something
disaster
big.
and weather. Okay. And
Yeah,
then Laura, let's go for you.
To add to the climate change argument. So it's got to be something big on that front. And then what did I say before? Shortages, yeah.
Shortages. So what happens if all of our predictions come true?
They kind of are at the moment anyway. All this stuff is stuff that's always going on.
Because all of this is a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
See, you don't need to be psychic to do this.
No.
Okay? It's all a self-fulfilling prophecy. There will be a weather disaster in the next 2 months. There will be an earthquake or something in the next 2 months. There will be a stock market issue in the next 2 months. There will be shortages. It will all come true. Okay? Just for everybody out there in the chat, what are your 2? Okay? And honestly, there is no right or wrong answer.
Isn't that because the global narrative has insidiously wormed its way into our psyche.
Now, UFO balloons that were UFOs, that one's new. But the UFO word has been seeping into the global narrative, into the colloquial now for a little over 2 years. Who remembers last year the CIA and the DoD admitting that UFOs exist?
Yeah. Releasing
You know,
that
guess
same
what?
footage.
That's the third time they've done it.
Yep, same
Third
footage as
time.
well.
Right.
It's in all of the like trashy newspapers over here as well. So they're trying to give it to everybody, but nobody cared. Nobody cared.
Right, nobody cared. Well, we cared, but they never followed up on it. That's the thing. That's the classic news. They present it once, and we won't cover it again for another year. Okay?
And did you say that the craft, those 4 ones what got shot down, were put on the news on purpose? What was the purpose if it's
To cover up the fact that they what they were trying to do in the upper atmosphere. They were trying to.
Oh yeah, fair enough. The actual
yeah,
truth of
yeah. You need to cover it all up.
Yeah, fair enough.
How about next year, though?
Let's finish this year before we go into next year, because that's a bigger part of. Let's get the pattern recognition so you understand how they want to imprint upon you. Okay, knowing that it's all self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay, as we come out of the first quarter, they need a cliffhanger. One that's going to attract you to the next set of episodes.
Oh, for
What's the
season 2.
cliffhanger going to be?
Edge of War.
Okay, that's fair. They've done the Edge of War thing a bunch of times already. Okay, it might not stick, and they really want this to whatever it's going to be. It's got to stick. Dale,
I'd say for the cliffhanger they'd use maybe about the government saving them, and we don't know what's going to happen in the future. There's an uncertainty happening, but the government will do its best, the best it can.
very good. Government here is to help you through your crisis.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
kind of like, don't worry, guys. All the shit's happening. We're fucking throwing this at you, but the government are going to help you out.
Exactly, Maty.
There's got to be a new villain or a rogue. Whether it be a nation or something, there's got to be a new villain.
Okay, yours is just a new. You don't need. It doesn't matter who. You're saying it's going to be going to be a new villain. I like that one because I was going to say that new villain. We needed a villain. They can't. The villains we have sucked right now. Okay, they're not all villains. All right, so the end of March and April for me. Let me reach into my Galactic Historian bag of tricks. We are going to have hearings on all the train disasters that are going on, because it's not just here in the United States. There's train disasters going all over the world. And it's going to be the CEOs of all the major train companies and transportation companies hauled in front of the Congress and be made to look like fools, even though nothing's going to actually be done to them.
So it would just be another charade.
It's just political theater, correct? Yes. That's mine. And since this is all recorded, guess what? We're all going to be looking back on this in the next 2 months, and we're all going to go, we all got it right. And I'm like, actually, we all got it right. Okay? The person that's in Janine, Ukraine, great, you got it right. You won a point already. California Clay, you got it right already. Okay?
I wonder when the government are going to save us from aliens will come.
They are saving us right now by not telling us about them.
Or there'll also be like someone who goes missing, and obviously a lot of people go missing and get murdered.
Oh yeah, we haven't had the missing person of the month yet.
We just had one, a lady who went to next to the river, and she was on the phone on a Zoom call or work call, and she disappeared into the river. They found her 3 weeks later, but every news just pumping the fear and obviously that.
Well, it's for 4.5, 5 months. Last year was Gabby Petito, the one that the girl that disappeared and was ended up killed in the national parks, and the guy ran away. And that was after that and after that. So, yes, we have a missing person of the month story that they like to promote because they're pushing the war too much. They're pushing the economy too much. They're pushing it too much where they got to talk about something else or they lose ratings.
And
So,
what
Andrew,
political figure will they sacrifice?
Ooh, you said the S word. Who will they sacrifice? Who will be the lamb to the slaughter? Maty, you were going to say something? Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to talk about what you were just talking about, because I've noticed that obviously there's so much crime and stuff that goes on when you hear about things, and they're all newsworthy, some of the stuff. But our recent missing lady, I was on TikTok because I recently started going through TikTok over the last sort of 6 months, year, and there was a whole group of people sharing information about this lady over TikTok that went missing. And then there was even people would going out and actually looking for her. So going to the area where she was and actually searching. So, you know, you've got the police doing the searches, and then they were holding the police accountable, and people were looking at evidence that the police overlooked, and they were going there and filming it and showing the different perspectives that they were looking from the cameras and breaking down the investigation, and it just went turbo. So instead of just being the news and people talking about it, now through things like TikTok, people are actually getting involved and picking everything to pieces. It was quite something to watch.
Mm-hmm. Did you see the bit at the end, Maty, where they flipped it? So all of a sudden, one day they blamed the partner, he was the villain. Then the next day they realised she loved to have a drink, so they called her an alcoholic. Each day there was a narrative which grabbed you to obviously watch it. I even looked at the articles myself.
I just stopped after a while until I heard that they'd found a body.
So Ether Pond, the exposure of AI to the world. They just started talking about ChatGPT and the Microsoft Bing bot that was having the meltdowns and personality meltdowns. That's going to be the rest of the year. That's going to be one of those background things. They're going to pull out the boogeyman of the AI whenever they've pushed the other stuff too much. Okay, AI as an actual big story probably is not really going to hit till 2025. That's my prediction. They got to prep you a long time before they give you a meat and potato AI issue.
It's a very, very long, slow cooker.
Right. The slow cook like pulled pork. They got to go slow and slow on that one before they get you with the sucker punch.
Yeah, they might be able to even bring in crypto to that and all sorts of things.
Crypto last year.
Yeah.
All the crypto companies took it in the arse, hardcore. Yeah. And you don't hear jack and shit about crypto since the FTX scam. No, because all the major political parties were attached to it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. All's good in the crypto world, according to the people that are into it.
According to the people who are into it, yeah, they're always going to say it's good for them, even though they lost everything. Okay.
Yeah.
What's something that could come out of the blue that they haven't predicted? That would
this is what I want to get to. This is what I want to get to, because
their apple cart.
If we can just come up with a semblance of an idea, so can they. Okay? And this whole polycrisis is, what can they seed into your mind that they can abuse later? They've reseeded us over and over again. So UFOs as balloons was seeded into us. That was new. I have to admit, I didn't see that shit coming. I didn't think they were going to spin it that way. I thought they just would have covered it up. So let's talk about the unseeded thing that they're going to try to seed into our minds so that they can propagate this negative propaganda within everybody's mind over a period of months or years to come. Yes, it's a nice microphone. We all have the same mic. We all have twin microphones. We all have Blue Yetis. Everybody, this is my Blue Yeti, Bob.
This is mine, Karen.
Hug your Karen.
She's a bit naughty sometimes.
Mine doesn't have a name yet.
Pushes back at me.
Black Bob.
Okay, let's think. What haven't they told us about? Okay. Who remembers in the news when suddenly all the major political heads of states were suddenly visiting Antarctica in 2016, 2017? Even the Pope of Russia suddenly went there out of nowhere, and you never heard that. Most people don't even know that Russia had its own Pope named Cyril. Yeah. Suddenly he was visiting. Well, everybody visited Antarctica. Who remembers that story?
I do, and I'll hold you accountable, Andrew, as well, because you said your response to the question was, I'll save that for another show.
Yes.
Yes.
You did. Yes.
That was definitely out of nowhere. What the fuck? Okay. Okay, so let's think. Let's put our brain power to it. What's something new that they can introduce, the knowing that they can abuse the shit out of it?
Something to do with space, maybe?
Well, they're already seeding us, but they want to weaponize space. Yes, they're already doing
space.
that. Yeah, they want to. They want to mine it.
below
But the thing is, they want to weaponize it first.
What about inner Earth?
That would be more to a very small niche conspiracy community. This is something that fits right into the global narrative. Something that even the normies and the muggles have to hear about.
What about an asteroid coming to Earth?
That happens every week.
All right,
Yeah.
fair enough.
They wouldn't
It's
have another
huge.
Planet X.
Come on.
Landing spaceship.
No, that light worker it.
Saint Germain
Something
coming
within
down.
it was something within the muggle mind. I know I'm pushing everyone. I'm pushing you all. Everyone in the chat. Everyone listening. Push. Try it.
You mean everything? We're not talking just space, are we? To anything within the narrative that can come in new into
Within
the
the
narrative.
existing muggle narrative. Not
Cash?
light worker. Not
Oh,
conspiracy
no,
narrative.
That's okay. Cash only is lightweight,
Okay.
isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Or no cash. I meant.
Something
They gave us a pandemic already. That was pretty new. Something on that level. New species are found every week. We just don't hear about them. Trump? Nah. That's we know about Trump. It's something new. Do 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 do.
How hard it is
War
to think
in
of something
space.
new.
I'm trying to think.
I mean, what's been the biggest one? Has got to have been the big C, isn't it?
I have stumped you all. Does the system win if we're stumped?
In a way.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It wins if we are stumped. Okay? If we can't outthink the system, we can't beat it. This is why I want to do these Polycrisis shows and talk about it, show you the equations, how it works, and we can outthink them, and we can predict them.
I'm trying to think of something unique, and it's so difficult.
When's the last time we've had a major political When's the last time we've had a major political assassination?
A major one.
Yeah, Bhutto in Pakistan.
Yes.
The lady one was about 11 years ago, 10 years ago. That's the last major political assassination other than Epstein. But that wasn't we're talking a political figure.
Yeah.
Okay? We haven't had a major assassination. Who would they assassinate? Putin? Sleepy Joe?
Obvious. It'd be a bit
Okay.
obvious, Putin.
Sleepy Joe.
Netanyahu? He's back in office. Everyone thought he was done and for. Okay? Zelensky?
Yeah, the Ukrainian.
Well, imagine how the Warhawks would be
Yeah.
if Zelensky got assassinated,
Yeah.
and how
he's
big
looking-
the war would go into overdrive promotion.
Yeah.
Okay?
And he's working his way towards it.
Sure. Okay, there's one. Let's try to think of another one. Who actually thought last year Musk would actually buy Twitter?
I didn't.
I didn't think he was going to buy it. I didn't think it, but he did. Okay, so they can introduce new things to us. Okay.
What about Andrew Tate being killed?
Nah. Well, yeah, it could work with a
Isn't he locked up at the moment?
Yeah, he's locked up at the moment.
Yeah.
They could Epstein him, but that's big, but it's not that big. Yes, Joel. Mexico kidnapping, setting up Mexican regime change. But last week, do you know what the Mexican president said during the crisis? Oh, elves exist. Here's some footage of it from a railroad car guy. Okay?
That's true.
That was shit was new. I didn't think.
I sent that into the group.
Elves were real?
Yeah. Gabrielle sent me, I was like, what? It's like the Mexican president saying elves are real.
As there are people marching in the streets, like mass amounts of people marching in the streets, and this guy thinks elves are real, gonna change it. Well, it worked. It worked. Okay.
All the elves are out now.
Now the elves are out marching in the streets.
In
Exactly.
Mexico.
Okay. So now we got the two. Elves are real. Mexico kidnappings become a major part of regime change, and that means their troops will actually, because they realize they can't continue to promote Ukraine, and that it'll be a regime change in Mexico, and there'll be a mass buildup of troops on the American border as they go after. So it'll be like a Mexican-American War of the 1880s again, where they go in and hunt down all the cartel members, which I predicted in 2020.
Did you predict that?
I predicted all that in 2020. Exactly, that was the entire setup of what's gone on, the shutting off of the Western Pacific and the Eastern Atlantic, and the submarines and everything. I predicted all that in early 20. Actually, it was 2017, 2018, 2019. I began talking about in early 2020. I put down my firm, this is going to happen, and it all did.
Have the cartel got loads of sites, like oil sites, haven't they, which haven't been used yet?
They have everything.
Yeah, I remember you saying that on one of the shows.
They have everything.
What about Amazon buying out some really huge companies?
Yes, that's actually that very much Amazon could buy. What is it? Paramount. So Paramount just did its quarterly reports, and it was really, really bad. And Paramount does the Star Trek stuff right now, and if they can't turn it around by the end of next quarter, you could see a direct sale of Paramount, which is CBS Studios, direct to Amazon. But that's because the streaming wars have failed. All the major corporations that were setting up streaming companies did everything back-asswards. They destroyed their own business models by forcing everything to go streaming. And Hollywood, at the same time, never can admit it making a mistake, and it took them 3 years to realize they're all making mistakes. So yes, you could have a major sale of a media organization, and if CBS Paramount ends up going to Amazon, what does that mean? It's a consolidation of who runs the propaganda. Total automation of banks. We're a long ways away from that. That's what 2.8 million bank tellers across the United States. So no, they won't get rid of that yet. That ChatGPT is not ready to take over the bank teller jobs. Haiti, they've done Haiti to death. They don't even want it in the modern narrative anymore.
Yes,
Sugar shortage? No, they'll just replace it with the high fructose corn syrup. All right, I'll take the pressure off
plant
of you.
Disease.
Blight? Yeah, we have a blight. We already have a
disease.
blight that has taken out the orange crop, as well as the frost from the beginning from last year, which killed the orange crop. So all your orange juice prices are going to go up. So yes, there's a blight already going on.
What about long sea?
Yeah, that's a continuing part. That's sea never going away, like the undead. Okay, it's like the monster in the movie always comes back and keeps going and going. You know, they have to have part 2 of the movie and part 3. And in early 2020, I stated over and over again, we would be dealing with the big C stuff well into 2023.
It's a good moneymaker for them because people are still getting sick cyclically exactly the same as they were when that was around. And at any point, they could just say, this is what it is, and then you need this in order to be safe from it, and everyone's going to believe it. So
Right.
it's a good moneymaker for them to have hanging around.
Right.
There's shitloads of viruses around at the moment, and
Yeah.
I saw a news report going on about herd immunity. Because we were all locked down for so long, there's so much stuff going around and we're not immune to it, which kind of makes sense because I've been ill so many times, and the kids and all the family have been ill the most I've ever been through this winter. There's actually a virus in Ibiza. They're trying to get people not to go to Ibiza at the moment because there's a virus going around. I can't remember the name of it now. It's like a fever. I just saw that article just before the show, actually. Try and find the name.
What about
All right.
the collapse of some of the big companies?
That's pretty general. Yes, we have collapses of the big companies all the time, but what will collapse that will not cause the collapse of the stock market? That's the big key. You can have collapses. Like we just had a major used car funding company just going, America United, America Car, which probably has about 10 to 15 million loans that are going to go into receivership, which is gigantic, okay, absolutely gigantic. But that's not going to affect it'll affect the car industry, but it won't affect the major credit lending systems like it did in 2008.
What are the car companies doing now, Andrew, in the form of, are they trying to push electric on, everything to go electric at some point? Is it like a deadline?
Sure, they are pushing it, but they're failing at it miserably. They can come nowhere near the efficiency and the cost per unit as what it is for Tesla does, because baked into their ingredient price is overpaying all of their employees and making vehicles double, triple, or quadruple of what they actually cost. The actual company cost.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
when
the
they come to
corruption,
do HGV,
yeah, and they can't produce. Like Maty was saying, they can't come anywhere near of what Tesla does at the actual production per vehicle.
because you think if you're going to have all electrics, then that's going to have to be all of the lorries, all of the cargo that's being transported. It's a major change in technology. That once they have to make it viable for goods transport, then it will change the way that we drive our cars as well, and what's available,
Right.
and the price of all of those. It would be such a narrative changing thing.
Right. And there's also no electrical grid to exist. If 5% of people suddenly change to electrical vehicles, our electrical grids worldwide would collapse.
Yeah.
And that's truth. If 5% of the population switched to electrical vehicles, our entire electrical grid would collapse. With that being said, why are they pushing electrical vehicles knowing full well the grid would collapse?
Because they want to push the climate change narrative onto us.
Well, that's one part. Think of a deeper, more insidious. Channel your Klaus Schwab.
More scarcity. They're going to create a more of an underclass.
There you go. Scarcity and underclassing.
Yeah.
Forced scarcity when it doesn't need to be. Okay, look how easy it was to see through that. Okay, now you're seeing how the polycrisis, as the mechanics, sticks into your mind and how easy you can outthink it. And prepare for it.
With a bit
Okay.
of prodding from you.
Okay, how can you prepare for the next polycrisis? By not giving a shit?
Making it
You will eat
irrelevant
bugs
to,
and be
to who
happy?
you are.
Yeah,
To
Making
try and
it
laugh at
irrelevant.
and
there you go. Come on, keep going.
try and laugh at it and make it funny and just take away the seriousness of it and see the repeated patterns what go on and just point at them and just laugh and just
predict.
tell them you're not going to
Yeah.
take my energy, you're not going to have my fear. I see you for what you are.
And if you do predict it, if you do predict it and you start getting good at it, and then eventually people start saying the things that you expected them to say, it's going to make you have a good giggle inside.
And monetize that if you do.
Yeah.
Okay. use the polycrisis to your dollar advantage. That's the greatest revenge one can do to the polycrisis.
Yeah. Make it a non-crisis.
Exactly.
You could make a good course on conspiracy, like a 12-step program for recovering conspiracy theories. Is this taking up all your life? Is this taking up your energy? Are you angry 8% of the day? There's a way out.
Are you in a constant state of fear and trepidation?
Are you always on YouTube?
Do you tell everyone you meet?
Are the aliens probing you? Join us next week.
Are you losing friends?
Yeah. Does nobody love you?
Are you a Karen?
So now that you realize how easily that you could outthink the Polycrisis and some of the greatest things you can do to it to turn it to your advantage. Now let's switch to the another part of the idea, going back to natural living. This goes into the core of what my teachings are, and that how natural living gives you what versus living with the Polycrisis. Let's compare and contrast what natural living is versus the Polycrisis living.
Gives you
Polycrisis
life
always keeps you in adrenaline.
The other way gives you fulfillment and peace
Groundedness, centeredness,
and growth.
natural evolution.
And it always, I'd say the Polycrisis keeps people out of that state so they can witness how beautiful that no time, nice, relaxed state is, where the brain waves are lower, when they're in such a nice feeling mode. It kind of like expels that out for most people, that they can't experience the taste of the infinite.
And the grander purpose of the Polycrisis is to do exactly that, to keep you out of the natural living state.
Mm-hmm.
That's its main grand purpose.
How can you be? How can you take your power back if you feel completely powerless everywhere you turn?
Mm-hmm. Back to sovereignty.
And again, it goes down again to the oral teachers, doesn't it, and traditions that the media's giving these younger generations, this fake, false oral teachers about what true reality is, and they lose the natural way of having that connection or hearing a grandfather's story about the journey or anything like that.
Will there be a bigger separation between people because of this? So those who are stuck in the global narrative and those who follow natural ways?
It's already happening. The news media's ratings are lower than they've ever been in history. Okay? Joe Rogan has more people watching his one podcast that he puts out 4 days a week than all of the media combined. All of the major United States medias combined. He has a bigger listening audience than all of them. Monthly listeners. Okay?
Do you remember that?
You go Mr. Beast or Logan Paul. They're even bigger. They're 10 times the size of Joe Rogan.
There is a difference, though, because the global narrative is following limited points of view, and those who follow
that have
evolution,
that have authority
point of view.
Right. Sorry. That have authority figures projecting authority over them.
And you see on extended versions of social media, again, TikTok, these kind of things, you see whatever they try to push in the narrative, you can see there's always a backlash. So then, at the moment, it's big on TikTok of lots of people supporting men. It's okay for a man to go through a healing crisis. It's okay for a man to be this, to be that, to be that. And using the leftist opinion of toxic masculinity in opposition. But the thing is, it sounds very good, but that's very easy to predict once again, isn't it, Andrew? So you offer one set of narrative and you know it's going to create another. Whether it seems like a positive counter narrative, and it may be positive in certain cases, but it's easily predictable and easily controlled.
And all to destroy the divine feminine and divine masculine.
The divinity itself. Mm-hmm. To remove divinity from the equation completely.
And there are people that use those kind of videos on TikTok as therapy, because it gives them just enough to feel like they are progressing where they're not. They're just watching the same thing over and over and over again, just spoken in different ways. without actually doing anything about it, just getting that hit.
So is there an off-world happening that could happen like a couple of years ago when we had that timeline incursion?
No.
No.
We're at the time where the chocolate souffle is cooking where you can't open the door or it'll sink. Okay? The bell has rung. Ding! Does the chef open the door right away? Do they jar it open and pull it out and slam it on the table and cut it right away? No, let it rest. Okay? That's where we're at right now. They don't want anything external interfering with it. It all has to come from inside the souffle.
Where we are.
We are the individual cells of the souffle. So what's the souffle going to taste like?
Good and chocolatey.
And all the vegans out there are going, I won't eat that. That's eggs and milk.
It's a neutral souffle.
No, it's not. It's not a neutral souffle. It is not a neutral souffle.
Shitloads of sugar in it.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm going to switch gears for a second. We talked about what natural living is. You see how the Polycrisis always wants to keep you in an adrenaline land, paying attention to it over and over and over again so you don't go to natural living. We have 1,757 shows out there that can get you back into natural living. Okay? Go look at one. Okay? This show, we don't need to talk about natural living. We don't need to talk about ritual, ceremony, etc. If you're ready to do it, you'll do it. Now, let's look at the polycrises that will come up for the second quarter. So that's June, July, August, and September. Sorry, June, July, and August.
Well, it's got to be something to do with the sun and extremes of weather, because in the northern hemisphere it's going to be summer.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't like us having sun, because sun is good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Print nuclear weapons again.
Well, last year they promoted nuclear war over and over and over again, like they were trying to have a freaking nuclear war orgasm out with
it. Look at mine. Look at yours.
Mm-hmm. And it didn't stick, did it?
No.
Well,
Didn't you?
It just made everyone really afraid, and the rest of them like, what? You guys are suck ass. Okay? And they realized that a lot of their media just isn't sticking. So they got to come up with something that's going to stick. Economic crisis is always a great fallback. Okay? Because that hits you in your wallet. Okay? What other kinds of things could happen?
Drought in places that aren't normally drought.
Drought's over. They just had 700 inches of snowfall and rain that filled the reservoirs that were near empty or at maximum and about to overflow. Okay? There's no more drought. Drought's over.
What about displacement of people, or some kind of? I mean, we're hearing a lot about refugees at the moment in the British
that's
narrative.
That's byproduct of Ukraine and Syria and the other places that we shall not mention because it's still YouTube.
It's very difficult to think of something unique.
No, it's not. Go to the edge of your unknowingness and don't be afraid. This is a spiritual practice. Okay? Predicting and understanding how the polycrisis will affect you. What stories got you all in the past? What put you into fear in the past?
The debt.
The debt. Okay?
Well, debt and recession.
Oh, recession.
God, that
They've,
word.
they've
honestly,
nixed
throughout my life.
they've nixed recession in the butt. The Fed has stepped in and said there is no recession and will be no recession, and this is not the recession you're looking for. They Jedi mind tricked us on that one. Yeah. I know I'm being such a hard galactic historian this episode. I'm making you all think. Putting you all on the spot.
So we want our instant gratification. That's what we come to you, Andrew.
That's right. I'm not going to give you the answer. But the answer is already inside you. You just got to look. Dale, what have you been afraid of in the past when the global narrative got you afraid?
I'd just say the only thing what got me afraid in the past was probably the thought of war. That's probably the only thing what got me afraid when I was younger. I couldn't care less about the economics when I was younger.
You care about it now, don't you?
Yes, but I wouldn't, even if they say about an economic crisis now. I see it in a different way now.
Well, they've been saying shortage for ages, though, haven't they?
Oh yeah,
Shortage
since
of
early
veg.
2020, when the whole big C word took over and everybody stopped producing everything and no one could get anything delivered. Maddie, what got you afraid in the past?
I'm trying to think. I haven't given much fear away to the narrative. COVID got me pretty rocked for a little while. Because I'm really just coming back into the narrative after such a long time. So it's difficult for me to think of anything that actually really stuck, because for most of my life I just felt like I was external from that.
What about taking away our rights?
Oh yeah, they did that last year in Canada, remember? How would they take? Okay, let's look at that a second. How would they take away your rights in this next crisis?
From stopping people from demonstrating properly.
That was 2022.
Yeah,
remember French Revolution? Everything happening in France, they tried to cover up.
Yeah.
Okay, 250 million people out marching, like 10 million people out marching. Wow. Crazy. Okay, or India, all the farmers in India that were marching that they covered up.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's got to be something what's going to pop up completely fresh and new. Like, obviously, I won't say the name of it, which we were in lockdown for. There must be something brand new about to come out.
So I'm looking at the chat room in Rumble here. We've got a tremendous amount of people there, and a lot of you are right. This is hard. And it's why I'm doing this show that's called The Polycrisis and explaining it all to you and how it affects the everyday person, and then ultimately what you can do to dispel its power within your own mind by predicting. And you don't need to be super psychic to predict this. Okay? Toilet paper crisis? Remember how that affected everyone in 2020?
So they're going to use
the fear you couldn't wipe your own ass. Okay? That sent Karens and Kens into overdrive. Okay?
So they're going to use something that's worked in the past.
Would you remember?
It may have some aspect of worked in the past, but it's got to be something that's a new fear, one that they can sell you for the next 5 to 7 years.
The Queen's a lizard.
Yeah, they've been doing that since the 2000s.
Earth's resources. Earth's resources.
Yeah.
They've been saying scarcity for a long time.
Oh, something's going to happen to the
A new
planet
virus, that's what
itself.
I was thinking as well. Like a new something like brand
They're
new.
trying that. It's just not working because they terribly screwed up the rollout of the pandemic and everything related to it. Had they had a better marketing system for it, sure. But they screwed it up. Too bad now. Who's going to believe them if they try to roll out something else? No one. And they know it. Okay? So the big V word's not going to be the V word. It's not the big war word either. It's not going to be microchips. It's not going to be 5G. They rolled 5G out last year, and it was a failure upon failure upon failure. Everyone didn't melt down, didn't suddenly go crazy, so on and so forth. None of the 5G predictions came true, did they?
There's always a CERN one, isn't there, floating around now and then.
They're going to need to give us a new hero. This is my putting out there. They need a hero, not a villain, because every villain needs a hero, right? Who's the next global hero?
Trump.
Musk is a strong potential.
Okay, they're raising my eyebrow. Who's the next global hero? It's not Musk. They're rubbing him through the dirt and trying to rub shit in his face. None of it's sticking, but he's not going to step up any more than he did. He knows his life is on the line. SpaceX or not. It's going to be a manufactured hero. One they want you to believe in. Okay? What type of situation could the next hero come through? The next hero's story that can be on the news for 9, 10 weeks and no one get tired of it.
Overthrowing Putin or stopping the war in Ukraine.
That's one.
Yeah, killing Putin might be a big one.
He's not going to die.
Yeah.
They're not going to kill Putin. Guarantee it.
He's like some robot. He reminds me of
No.
Terminator.
No. Putin goes. Everybody in the global elite goes too, and they all know it.
Yeah.
Okay. Putin has enough assassins under his belt that if he ever goes out on an unnatural or even a natural way, every one of the global elite at Davos, they're all dead. They're all dead, and they all know it. Okay? And there's enough he has a vault of blackmail on the whole world. That's why he knows he's not going to die. Okay?
Remember, he used to have pictures. The only president with a picture of his top off. He was so good.
Mm-hmm.
The only guy you saw was
because he wanted to show he was human. He wanted to prove he wasn't a lizard. Yeah. Okay, and it worked. It absolutely worked. Okay. Heroes. Why do we need heroes?
To lull people into a false sense of security.
Mm-hmm. So why does the global narrative need heroes? To sell you merchandise. Again,
like
to
a
sell
film
you
or
merchandise. Remember the yellow ribbons during the war?
Yes.
Imagine if you were a yellow ribbon producer during the beginning of the First War. Okay, how much money would you have?
What about a so-called cure for C?
But then that would mean all of the money they make out of the next 7 years of promoting C wouldn't happen. So no,
yes,
that ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
There's always little news articles, but they never go anywhere.
Right. Could it be a new form of technology?
Sure. Expand on that, Maty. What could it be? It's not unity power, overpowered, or unlimited power. No.
Could it be something like I don't know.
They've been threatening quantum computers, but that's still they gotta seed us that with some more before anything happens. The same with AI.
Free energy?
No, that's not. It's a long ways away. Shakira gets her divorce. Tomato.
Kanye West breaks down again.
Could they actually do some good? Like come up with some technology that can help to, I don't know, even just like turning salt water into fresh water or bringing certain things into places that need it.
Sure, but they're not going to do that.
How about something that reverses so-called
You got to
climate
think
change?
manufactured hero for the purpose of selling you this hero for the next 10 to 12 weeks so you forget about everything else before they re-emerge part of the Polycrisis. It's a fake, false, heroic story.
Did they do that with the president of Ukraine, didn't they?
They've been
They
doing
portrayed
it
him to be the hero guy, and everyone in the newspaper, he was just, what a great guy, and everyone put up their pictures on Facebook, with the flags and him on and stuff like that.
Right. And this
He's
is
got
me
his
just
hands
being
fucking dirty.
this is me being aggressive. The next person that says fucking med beds again, I'm going to kick you in the nuts. Med beds are not coming. They do not exist in the public reality, and for anybody that tells you they're done, they are lying to you. Or they've been lied to and they're believing somebody bullshit. Med beds will never be released in the condition this world is in. Period. Okay? And you're sucking on the hopium dick if you think it is real. Okay? It's real in the other realities, but it will never be real in this reality, the way this reality is set up. Sorry. Stop sucking on the hopium dick. Yes, I know. It was a joke for you, but it wasn't for me. Because I get talked about the med beds, and everybody wants to tell me about med beds. Fuck you and your goddamn med beds. It ain't happening, bitch. Not happening. Okay? And I will eat raw shoe leather if it does, because I know it won't. And I'll put up a $10,000 bet says it doesn't happen in the next 5 years. Mm-hmm. And it's on public radio, so I'm legally bound to it. Yeah? Heroes. Oh, we have not had a kidnapped person survive in a while, have we? Who remembers the last kidnapped person that survived?
Oh, is that Patty? I'm trying to think of the name of Stockholm.
That was years ago. There's
There's
been ones that have been more recent. Okay.
I'm a bit out of touch.
I tell you what, they brought up again, Madeleine McCann. Like, how long does that want to go on? They just keep bringing it up that there's a new evidence of a new guy. Or there's actually, lately they said it was her, and she put a post out on Instagram saying that she looked like her, and they're doing a DNA test. So they're always bringing Madeleine back in each year.
Okay. Who remembers, what was the fuck was that? Oh, God, brain fart. The Korean rapper that came out with the freaking song that infected everyone's mind.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Gangnam Style. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That was a hero story. That was a full-on hero story. He got his 1 billion+ views on YouTube and more. Okay. We haven't had one of those in a while, have we?
No. So in music.
Okay. That's manufactured. Okay. Yes. Psy-op. That's a psy-op. Psychological operation. Now we must be our own psy-op team, working against their psy-op team in a actual competitive format. But you keep your own score. Remember that. You keep your own score. No one ever knows how many points you have. And if so, what does that mean? You always win.
Control.
You're in control. And the Polycrisis timeline doesn't own you like a saddle on a horse. All right, so we talked about that. So let's go to the end of 2023. 2023's got to go out with a bang. Okay, we've had our financial crisis. We've had our hero story. We've had a natural disaster, too. What ends 2022?
2023.
Sorry, what ends 2023? Yes.
Assassination.
But we had our assassination already.
Okay.
I think they'll just bring the boring war back again and again, like they seem to do. At least every 6 months, it's just another place, another war, another area.
Another shortage.
Another financial crisis. Let's think hard. Let's think as if they were UFO spy balloons suddenly making global news. We haven't had this much dead air in a long time.
So,
Can you hear us think?
A mouse fart that everyone reacts to. Thank you, Santo. Yes.
yes, Santo.
Okay. Let's just ponder a minute. Put your brain into first gear. And then into second gear. And into third gear. And you're on the freeway. The super highway of your mind. Genetic mutations, Cosmos? I doubt it. This won't be like the X-Men. It won't be a comic book timeline. Okay. The end of woke Hollywood? We quite possibly could see the end of woke Hollywood if they don't turn their ass around because they're losing billions and billions and billions of dollars by putting out material no one wants to watch. So yes, a fall of woke Hollywood absolutely could be there. They will do whatever they can do to cover it up, but there are enough people covering pop culture out there right now that it won't get by. And there's a couple people who I will personally recommend. If you're not really into pop culture but want to laugh your ass off at the way woke Hollywood is, go and look at Overlord DVD or Valiant Renegade or WDW Pro. I get all my pop news through them. Their guys are amazing, high-level people with full-on insiders. Also look up Cameron Pasha, revealing everything that's going on in Disney, Paramount, all the woke activists trying to take control of your mind. God damn, it's a dinosaur. You could have a King Kong moment, yes. A Godzilla moment. Godzilla! Yes, we could have a Godzilla moment. Imagine how our world would react if Godzilla came up out of the ground. How would those Warhawks react? Nuke it! Isn't that what they did in the movie that didn't work? Fuck it, nuke it again!
But it feels like it's even to the point if they did something stupid like that, it wouldn't make people kind of go into that awakening state. It's because it's just, yeah, even if like a UFO, they filmed a UFO and put it all on the news, I don't personally think everyone's going to start.
They'd have to kill Godzilla, then they'd charge everybody loads of money for the fact that they've just killed Godzilla, and then there'll be fucking,
so you Godzilla meat.
Yeah, exactly.
Godzilla Lloyd tastes so nice.
And then there'll be a Godzilla illness or...
Exactly, Godzilla illness. All the Godzilla poop that's poisoning the environment.
Yeah.
And then the kids drinking Godzilla urine to get high.
Then there'll be a Netflix documentary a year later about it.
Exactly.
And then tribunals, because Godzillas have feelings too.
Yeah. Godzillas have feelings too. Can't kill the next Godzilla. Gotta let him rampage and kill Tokyo.
The gender-neutral Godzilla.
Oh yeah, then Godzilla's a they them. He's not a god.
Comes out. He
Godzilla.
says, "Godzilla's come out gender-neutral."
Okay. Then Godzilla wants to start his own political party and is going to take on the military elites.
Loads of people would join that.
Who would win? Godzilla versus Davos. I think it'd be great to see a Godzilla trounce Davos.
With Karen's commentating.
Yes, the Rock Godzilla 2030 for president, exactly. Godzilla Mothra 2030. Okay? See how fun you could have with the global narrative in this polycrisis? Imagine if Godzilla was part of the polycrisis.
What do you see then, Andrew?
I'm not allowed to tell you. Your pay grade isn't high enough.
I'm not allowed to say. Let's put Andrew on the hot seat.
I plead the fifth. I've given plenty of ideas already. I can't cross that line into telling you what's going to happen because I don't know what's going to happen. And I've said that over and over again. If I knew everything, there'd be no fucking point in me being here doing these shows. Okay? Some of this shit's a surprise to me, too. That's right, everybody out there that's put me up on a pedestal of knowing everything everywhere. No, I don't. And I don't want to know everything. I know what I need to know in the moment that I need to know it. I know everything about what I need to know in the moment I need to know it. That's how it works.
And if we're lucky, some dragons misbehave.
Yes. Fly around peeing on everyone. So who remembers the Olympics? When were they?
Last year, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Where were they?
It was Beijing,
China.
China, yeah.
Amidst all the polluted ruins, they put the ski jumps between nuclear fallout shelters and poisoned environments. Okay. Okay. So we're going to have a Summer Olympics. Where? Does anybody even know? It was supposed to be in Japan, but the Big C shut it all down. Just had a World Cup. Okay, so it'll be another 4 years for another World Cup.
It was so obviously corrupt this year as well. I know all things like that are always corrupt, but it was just obvious, new scale of obvious.
Will it be in Berlin?
I don't know.
Well, it
I've
won't
just
be
Googled it.
Ukraine.
Google it.
Yeah, it's
Ukraine.
Berlin. Would it be Berlin, Andrew? So yeah, start date 2023 in Berlin, Germany.
There you go.
That'd be cool.
Only 100 days to go as well to the opening ceremony.
Ooh, opening ceremonies, Berlin. 3 months from now. That's right on our second quarter. Okay? Okay? What could happen?
What could happen?
It'll ruin the places around it.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're going to need something to distract people. What can they do to keep you in adrenaline mind with all that adrenaline rushing and giving you dopamine releases every time you watch the global narrative?
A terrorist attack.
Oh, ban.
That season for terrorism is past. They beat that dead horse to death.
Ban a country or invite a country nobody wants.
Like Iran? North Korea?
Ooh, that'd be a little bit naughty.
Russia decides not to send anyone to the Olympics? All those are potentials, and we've all seen those played out before.
And then we've had the gender
yeah.
going on with the Olympics.
God, yeah. What about the Olympics with the genders?
Yeah.
That might be a big one.
That's
Oh shit,
confusing,
yeah.
isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
They'll have a gender neutral section.
They should do. I'd watch
Yeah.
it.
The Godzilla section.
Did you hear about that one who was in prison? So he was a guy, and he got convicted, and then he turned around and said he was a girl, and he was a convicted rapist. and he ended up going into prison and raping like 8 girls because he just changed his mind and said he was a girl.
Yeah.
So they let him into a girl prison.
And then he raped a bunch of more women there, yes.
Yeah. That's just how fucked up the world is.
That's how dumb it is.
So, we have challenged everybody's mind. Okay? One last challenge. Everybody that is out there, I want you to come up with your prediction. Go into the comment section of this show after it's been put back up and write in your prediction. All of you that have been listening for the last hour and a half, write down your predictions. Make it a fixed point in space-time. Everybody will be right. And I'm serious. Everybody will be right. Excuse me. So, put it down. Put your 2 cents out there. Show the global narrative you're smarter than it. And guess what? All the AIs that are watching the system going, what the fuck is this shit? Why are people predicting my shit? Holy fuck, they're getting it right. Okay? Excuse me, I got the coffees. All the AIs that are watching the system.
Where's that coming from?
What the fuck is this shit? Why are people predicting my shit? Holy fuck, they're getting it right.
Don't know.
I think that was Joel.
Joe.
Joel cloning himself again. So what's going on?
It's not me.
I think it's is it Andrew? No, it's not.
No. It's not me.
Are you there, Joe?
Not Joel. It's Dale.
It was me.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe that. It was me.
It's like the global narrative.
The global narrative got us through Maty.
Oh,
That's good. That's good. That's
it
good.
was good.
Okay. So have we beat this global narrative polycrisis timeline to death, or do we need to keep beating this horse?
I think we've got a great prediction, and yeah, it's probably spot on. It's not like you say, Andrew, and you've said many times, it's quite easy to predict it. It's just all the time, it's kind of like the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
And there's just a common thread of just it happening over and over, and it's just not sticking as much each year for people because of it.
Yep.
Pattern recognition.
That's right. With that said, Laura, give a way for people to get a hold of you.
I'm on twofeathersmedicine.com. We have a Facebook page. We have a website. We have new products coming out, both with Andrew and Dale, and also individually. So look out for my transformational shamanic prayer product. That will be out soon. And we keep our website pretty up to date, so to have a look there at our other products. And also on andrewbartzis.com, there's the bus tour, or on any of our Facebook pages. So if you haven't signed up for the bus tour and you fancy coming to Scotland with all of us, led by Andrew, then sign up as soon as you can.
There's actually probably a 2-week deadline. I believe last time we talked, if you don't sign up in the next 2 weeks, the bus tour will be closing down for new people to come into it. We have some limitations that have been imposed on us by the bus tour people alone, so... Dale, Dale, your spiel?
Yes, Bill. So, if anybody would like psychic surgery sessions, and I'm also running a new treatment. Well, it's not new; it's exactly the same psychic surgery, but it's focusing on trauma as well. So, able to work on the past and trauma which has happened in the past. I'm able to work on that. So that's something I'm going to be offering as well. I also do psychic surgery training, and the next online date we have is the 27th of May and the 28th of May. So if you'd like to learn psychic surgery online, go to daletobin.com, sign up for the newsletter as well. I also offer a psychic surgery membership for only £10.99 a month. You get 2 distant healing products of me working with my many hands in my back and using psychic surgery and expanding your knowingness of psychic surgery as well. So yeah, cool. And I'm on Two Feathers Medicine as well, daletobin.com. Peace out,
Maty?
guys.
That was wonderful, Dale. So yeah, you can get hold of me on twofeathersmedicine.com. I'm hanging around Facebook. I do psychic surgery, light language, any of the stuff you hear us talking about. I can do coaching sessions, or you come and have a session with me.
And you all know who I am, don't you? You
Andrew, how can people get hold of you?
They can go to my
Give your
website,
spiel,
andrewbartzis.com. I have multiple products that I have put out. I have Living the Mystical Life Daily. I have sessions. And I have 3, 5, 7,000 videos for you guys to watch. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're ready to make that transition into natural living, boy, are you going to learn some shit. Alrighty, guys. It's been a great show. Joel, take us away. Welcome, everyone, to the Scottish Highlands Galactic Historian What's Your Purpose tour. You're asking, what's my purpose? Your purpose is to go on this tour and discover the mystical, magical highlands and lowlands of Scotland. We'll be going from Edinburgh to Kirkwall, Inverness, all over the Scottish lands, as you can see on our incredible map. So I want to bring in Dale to talk about what is going to be included with this trip.
So what's included on this What's My Purpose tour, we'll get a chance to meet Andrew Bartzis, and we'll be able to ask him what our own purposes are, and we'll be able to ponder and try and figure this out in 10 days.
And each and every day, we will be driving, and I will be talking about the histories of the places that we are passing and going to. And a part of these attractions are what we are including in this tour to make it the most memorable tour I've ever been on. Dale, what are the attractions and everything that's included?
A Scottish driver and also a guide. You'll have your own very luxurious Mercedes-Benz coach as well. It'll include all transport and ferries, 9 nights accommodation, and 9 breakfasts, and also dinner included as well. So for the attractions you'll get free entry to Dunrobin Castle and Gardens. You'll also be tasting the fine whiskey at the Highland Whiskey Distillery tasting, where you'll be able to see the spirits being made and created. And we'll be also getting entry to Scarabray, the Garrigan Blackhouses Village, Callanish Standing Stones, which are so famous throughout the world. And we'll be also going entry to the Armdale Castle and Gardens, where we get the chance just to relax and walk around and just enjoy the scenery and the outside and the history. Also, we'll be going on a half-boat day trip to Stafford, and we'll be also going to entry to Iron Abbey.
This is your opportunity to take the pilgrimage with all of us to the Scottish Highlands, the 10-day bus tour around the Scottish Highlands. On the first day of the journey, of this 10-day journey, Healing comes in many forms, all the colors aligned. You are free as a dove when you choose, a sovereign state of being.
And allow this product to work with the 7 color chakras in our own energy system.
Meditations can trigger DNA wisdom and memories in light, out-creating our limited chemical memories. So sit back, relax, as we take you on a journey of light and color.